back. So, Charlie, as you look over at sort of the setting here, you've been to a number of games here. This is where the Empire plays. Randall's Island, field number 10, is a very common site for you. Common site for the team as well. Turf field. What kind of advantage should that give to New York?
Well, I think,
if any,
the wind pattern here is pretty consistent, and having some wind coming from right to left, which is what we have today, and it's probably going to play a little bit upwind, downwind, is something that they're going to be familiar with. A lot of these players also practice here, both for the AUDL season and during the rest of the year, so they're very comfortable coming here and playing. I also think that there's just that home field advantage, not only having the crowd, but having your team sleeping in their own beds and then coming to the fields on game day. It's a lot easier than having to travel down from Toronto and go on what's a very tough opener road trip for them as they play New York and D.C. in back-to-back days.
I mean, is it easier, or is it the type of thing where, you are at home and you feel a little too comfortable, like, maybe a little nervous even, whereas you're kind of bonded and you're tight when your team travels?
Well, I think that the results that you see in the AUDL kind of bear out that
home field advantage.
There's clearly a home field advantage. And I think depending on the city, it has more to do with just having your full roster available and not having to travel multiple hours to play the game, more than an actual crowd advantage. But in some cities, then the crowd advantage is a bigger deal, I think, and you can see the effect of that as well.
Right.
But yeah, I think there's probably going to be some jitters for both teams here today as they get the season underway. New kit for the Rush.
Looks great.
It does, with red and black. And
it looks like they are going to be on the downwind side to start this game. So advantage to New York. And it looks like the Rush will be pulling, and New York will be receiving going downwind. Sorry for the scratchiness, folks. Just making adjustments here to prevent from the wind.
Right now, Jarrett Marin with the disc for Toronto as they get set to pull. So New York going downwind on offense to get things started.
Remember, it is a little bit of a crosswind, so not so exciting to have that downwind option for you when you've got to punch it to the left or right of the field. Jarrett Marin, big guy for a big puller for Toronto. We'll see him with the disc pretty often on the line for pulls.
And this game is underway as Marin puts the pull up for Toronto. And the New York offense will be setting the disc up just past midfield. Disc swings near side, Taylor Brooks. Now Kocher. And we have a whistle.
Good draw on that. That's Pippin Auletta, number 4.
Matt Auletta's been a key offensive handler for the Empire for a couple of seasons now.
He's bringing the mustache back, Charlie. I don't know if you heard that.
Kocher working with Brooks.
Nice cut there by Pippin, but didn't find him. Nice break.
Brooks floating one to the end zone. And it's into the hands of John Wodach. And the New York Empire on the board. They take the lead 1-0.
Well, got to like the patience there. They did put it to the corner where it's going to float pretty nicely, and he put a nice touch on that. Wodach, of course, lit it up in his first couple of years, with not only with Connecticut, but also in this league and in the former MOU, going up big in the end zone. But they told me he's going to be more of a handler. So maybe he was, but clearly he was downfield that whole point there. We just saw Brooks, Kocher, and Auletta mostly with the disc there. Nice, patient offense, and great job by New York to get on the board.
Yeah, worth noting that starting that possession as picking up the disc and as their center handler to begin the point was Harper Garvey. And one of the new faces for this Empire team, and we'll have to see if he sits back in that role. Typically, that's been Keegan's position, but with Keegan out today, see Garvey picking up, and now the New York defense on the field for the first time, and we'll get a look at this Toronto offensive line. Thompson McKnight, a longtime O-line handler for them, picking up.
With Yearwood in the backfield with him.
And there's Adrian Yearwood, but he pops his backhand up as the wind pulls it over his receiver's head, and so New York will have an opportunity to go upwind for a break.
And here's where really the rubber hits the road here. Let's see what they can do with this upwind. That was Kofor who picked it up. Oh, quick drop there.
Sam Taylor drops it. McKnight will pick up for Toronto, 15 yards out.
Ooh, that's ugly.
And he skies one, and it's taken away in the end zone by Jeff Babbitt.
Ryan Drost, does he have that throw? Nope, go under.
Here's Mike Drost. Drost brothers, longtime staples of this D-line. Sam Taylor finds Matt Lamar.
Ooh, nice catch.
Up ahead to Mike Drost.
Like the movement here. Now they're getting a little bit jammed.
Taylor swings it around to Clark Kofor, Florida State alumnus.
I don't like that swing over there.
Patience here from the Empire. Babbitt.
Boy, he's hard to guard, isn't he?
Big body, Tony. Here's Kofor.
Ooh,
Looking for
good
Babbitt,
work.
and he's got it. New York gets the game's opening break, and they take a quick 2-0 lead.
A lot of confidence shown there. I got to say, like, you got an opening drop there, and they come right back. They get it back to Taylor. He moves in the whole offense. The jitters are gone after that drop, and they're not afraid to move it across the field in the face of the wind and to punch it up in the face of the wind. Just got to be a real confidence builder there.
Yeah, and you could see the additions to this New York team already making a difference. We see Babbitt involved on that play, getting the block, and ultimately the bookend score.
Yeah.
We also see that they're able to put both Drost brothers on this D-line. That's huge for them because they've often had to get those guys going on the O-line when they haven't had as many really skilled players to put out there. And having both of them out here, they both get touches, and really just an all-around excellent point for the D-line to get things started.
Not too surprising. I wonder, like, how comfortable is that O-line going to remain? You know, Willie will have to pull those D players over to that O-line. Right now, not a question, not a worry, as the pull comes down to Toronto.
Toronto offense now working in the upwind direction. Jeff Lindquist drops it off.
He's got such a quick release, does Lindquist.
Mike McKenzie.
McKenzie, one of the youngsters here. Can you still say youngster, Charlie? Yeah, I mean, I'll consider not using it.
Jonathan Martin and a whistle. And we have a pick call.
Okay. Observer watching from, referee watching from down the field there. That's a good call.
So the rarely called pick, but it's 10-yard penalty against Toronto. Just now with Greg Ellis. Now Harris. Now disc going up the far sideline.
Whoa.
Jonathan Martin looking deep. Going to be contested, but it's caught. Breton Tan with a great catch. And Toronto on the board, 2-1.
Well, they went away from Babbitt there. Don't throw it to Babbitt's man. What an amazing throw up the sideline there into the wind there. Breton Tan, one of the fastest guys on the field. So he's going to get to that disc in time. Able to rise up the defender, not able to get there in time. And it looked like a break mark throw, too. I don't think they were giving up that sideline unless they were trying to force into that, and then there was a mistake on the defender on that cutter there, not getting to that side of the field.
Well, it's great patience from Toronto, that whole point. It's going to be difficult to get Hucks much past 40 or 50 yards in this direction. And they worked the unders the entire way until Jonathan Martin found Tan loose up the sideline.
What's interesting to me is that they stayed on that sideline. They didn't even really worry too much about coming over to the other side. So I don't know if that's either a strategy or if they're just that good that they can camp out on that side and still score. Because New York's strategy is going to be to keep them on one sideline.
Pull lands in.
This is tough for New York now.
And rolls out the back. And now some confusion with the referee. The referee seeming to signal that this should be brought in at the front of the end zone, but that's not the case in the AUDL. So now New York having to work out of the back of their own end zone. Sam Taylor and flips a little scuba, but nobody's home, so Toronto going to have it on the goal line with a chance to tie the game.
So that was Norton, Kevin Norton.
Jarrett Marin. Easy backhand. Break Toronto.
Yeah, there it is. That's your upwind, downwind right there. So both teams now with an upwinder and both teams with the break, not coincidentally. Mistake there on the connection there. They did get it off that goal line, but great pull there from Marin. I'm assuming that it got that down there.
And the Empire opting to see if that would land out, but it landed just in and rolled out. Pretty much the definition of a perfect pull.
And you're not going to get too far in ultimate with that much field space to go. You know, that's a long distance to try to work it up. So, you know, don't focus on that scuba turnover. Yeah, maybe they've got to half field and you're talking about playing field percentage like you do in the NFL. That's all you can hope for there. That's a deep pull. That goes to Toronto. Congratulations to them. And that's Martin on the pull.
This pull,
you know, not bad for going upwind, though.
Never gets back in bounds, though.
Ooh.
So
I might have spoke too soon.
It will be Garvey.
That's not too bad.
Who will be centering it up again here for New York.
All right, downfield cutters. They got Wodach, Matt Stevens.
Tony, what do you see from this defense here?
Wow, it's a diamond. It's like a box in one. Yeah, it's like it's a junkie zone, obviously, the double team on the sideline. He's got Muck open in the end zone. Can he get there? Ooh, D'd up.
Beautiful defense on the other side. Mike McKenzie gets there and knocks it away with a left hand.
You know, not a bad throw, a pretty great throw. The separation, Kuzmovic not able to get enough separation, and a great D by McKenzie.
Jeff Lindquist initiates for Toronto.
So this is Toronto's D line trying to get the upwinder here.
And a whistle.
Another pit call.
That was right in front of the referee.
Yeah.
And he wasted no time. So
that was Breton Tan and Kocher tangled up.
McKenzie. Lindquist.
There's Tan. Oh, Kocher.
And great defense from Chris Kocher as he runs through, gets underneath of Breton Tan. That'll be a matchup to watch. And New York with it 10 yards from the goal.
Nice break there.
And a great pass into the end zone as Chris Kocher hauls it in. Bookend score for him on the assist from Matt Aletta.
Well, so Kocher there, I was watching that matchup there. He's on Breton Tan, the speedster, and Kocher was with him the whole time. Breton slows up a little bit, coming back to that disc there. Kocher keeps on going, runs through the disc, gets the clean block, and gets rewarded with the score. Even with Tan's speed and youth at 19 there, he didn't have that much separation on Kocher, so that had to be a perfect throw, and he would have had to run through it. Kocher with great defense there.
So with just over 6 minutes to go here in the first quarter, New York with a 3-2 lead.
So we'll try to get that scoreboard up for you right now. It's 3-2. 3-2 New York. Here's a big one. Looking for Cam Harris. Is he going to drift out the back? He catches it, but it's too far.
So Harris not able to reel it in before it heads out of bounds.
It seemed like a little bit of a designed play there.
Sam Taylor getting a lot of touches here early for New York. Will bring it to the goal line.
I hate that position when you're facing the wind and a tough defense. Oh, he slings it in there nicely. Ooh,
and a whistle as a stall is called. 7-second stall count in the AUDL.
Yeah, that's fast for Taylor there, and a gritty defense from Toronto.
McKnight centers to Yearwood. Break side throw. Score for Toronto.
Great job there, and you gotta ask yourself if they punted it to Cam, and they're like, okay, well if we don't get it to Cam, it's going to be a long field for them to go upwind, and it works out. They get the turnover and punch it in. So
Connor Armstrong on the goal there. Yeah, Tony, the defense very smart from Toronto, and I honestly wonder if this is going to be a strategy that they continue, looking to huck big downwind, and then they set up fronting and really just taking away the underneath option, and New York wasn't really able to get anything going.
I mean, why not? Because you look over at the New York bench there with that Keegan. Who's going to rip that one deep? One person they did tell me was Craig Cox, the recent Hodag grad here now in New York, the big guy, number 84. So we'll see if he puts him deep, but we haven't seen him on the field too much. So, yeah, why not play the unders and force him to work it?
Kocher picks up for New York. To Garvey. Toronto sagging the lanes here. Kocher near sideline for Kevin Norton. 6'6" Norton.
Nice hands there.
Dumps it back to Garvey. Nice find there, Kocher. Brooks to Norton.
Like the movement. Very patient. Oh, Norton just couldn't quite get up in there.
Finds Kocher. And a miscommunication there is Norton looked to see if the help defense was coming, and as he looked ahead, the throw went up from Kocher, and it's a turnover. And now a timeout from Toronto.
Yeah, tough one there. Both Norton and Cox were in the same space there, and Cox not able to get his man out of the zone there, and the distraction from Norton. He still could have gotten to that disc, but there were two defenders in there and unsuccessful.
So a timeout here from Toronto gives them a chance to get a new set of bodies out there. Substitutions allowed on timeouts in the AUDL, so they'll have an opportunity to put a strong upwind line here.
Yeah, who said that? But yeah, that's great. We're going to zoom out for all the fans out there, so don't worry about that too much, but you'll see the action. Don't you worry about it. So on this timeout here, yeah, Ike even tweeted about that. Well, we know that Ike's watching the game. That's a feather in our cap, right? Does that mean something? How long does he think he's going to over under? How many minutes he's able to watch it for?
Well, I think he'll watch the whole game.
Yeah. All right. Scouting for Pittsburgh. So a lot of wind here, a lot of upwind. We got 4:23 left in the first quarter. And let's see what Toronto can do with it.
That's McKnight here. Going to be putting this disc into play for Toronto. So they've got that strong offensive line out there looking to cash in the upwind break. Underneath, Steve Armitage on the near side.
You hear that wind howling. This is a tough one. Yep,
and a whistle as I believe a stall was called.
Yep.
So pretty quick count today. Player's going to need to adjust to that.
That's tough. You saw him scrambling there. He knew he was in trouble.
Clark Kofer zips it to Babbitt. Looking into the end zone, and Babbitt with the layout score. The help defender was there, but Babbitt made sure he couldn't get to it by diving and making the catch for the Empire score.
That's the way to do it. Just get your body in front of it.
And that's what Babbitt can do. Jeff Babbitt, 6'2", and plays about 3 inches taller than that.
Just the quick twitch muscles to get off the ground that fast there. Tough to tell from our angle exactly how close that defender was, but clearly he felt like he had to make that dive to prevent that help defender from getting there, and completes the score there for the Empire.
So 4-3 Empire.
Still pretty nice day here. We got some good crowd out here. This is some. We got some kids running around. I'm just waiting for one of them to run onto the field and for Babbitt to pick him up, run with the kid, and still make a play. That's all that we're missing. Oh, it's the owner's kids. Oh, I see. It's Jesse's kids.
New York Empire owner Jesse Stein making sure to enforce the
sideline, actually. He's like,
boundary there for the young children. So here are Toronto picking up Cam Harris to McKnight. Short pull there from New York. Underneath to Andrew Carroll. And here's Isaiah Massett-Kelly. And a big layout block from Matt Lamar.
Saw that kind of coming there. He was on full speed there, was Lamar, and he got to it.
Good energy from New York here early, making the hustle plays. See if they can put in another break.
Here's Kocher on the D-line, too. Very smart decision, though, but a risk here. Ooh, that's going to tip.
And nearly caught on the second effort after the tip. But Toronto gets it back into the hands of McKnight. He's firing deep, looking for Carroll. 2 defenders in chase. Carroll can't pull it down, and no whistle from the referee. So a drop for Carroll. Good pressure. Ryan Drost able to get down there and make Carroll think about it.
I don't know if Drost didn't get to that disc. I thought he might have got to it first, actually. Like, actually tipped it as opposed to a drop. It's a little
Might be
tough
right,
to say,
Tony.
but he got his body up there. There's Wodach handling right now.
Swodach and Kofor in the backfield. A
Nice
great
foot.
throw. And that's the throw that New York really needs to be able to make. And now we see Drost taking a shot across the field and into the end zone for the break. Ryan Holmes comes down with it. And that's all created by that fantastic flick up the sideline from Kofor.
Well, they really caught Toronto off the guard right there. Like, that was an open shot there. No one was on that side of the field. Real question here, though. Is this a timeout or is this a score? I thought it was a timeout. It does look like it's a timeout. I believe short of the end zone, so not quite there yet.
You must be right, Tony. It looked like they were immediately in, but I guess.
Yeah, it's tough to see. The reflection off the turf is very difficult to see where the lines are here. But it's not in. It's a timeout. I do kind of question that. I always want to look a couple times into the end zone before making that timeout call.
You know, and it's, I think, a little tougher in the AUDL because of that 7-second stall count. But I personally agree with you, Tony. I really don't like the goal line timeout call because you typically have numbers or the opportunity to just get an easy pass into the end zone. Why not take the timeout at stall 5 if you still need it?
There's 2 minutes left on the clock. That's not an issue. So anyway, we'll see what they do with it. The disc is now in the hands of Ryan Holmes. Sorry, they must have subbed him out. Looks like Harper Garvey.
Yeah, they put their offense in there. So it's Garvey set to pick up with Kocher in the backfield along with Aletta. So pretty much your standard O-line here, looking to finish this point off and put New York up 2.
Activate Kocher.
Kocher backhand break, but his throw too shallow and it's knocked away.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it there.
And there, you hit that timeout, but now, of course, your offense is on the field that has to play defense.
Yeah, it was not a bad play, though it's a little common. Turnover, though. They'll get a chance again.
So a big break here for New York as they get another short field. Garvey Now Wodach. John Wodach, the brother of longtime DC player Jeff. There's Kocher. He has been fabulous to start this game, and he gets it into the end zone for Markin Kuzmowicz, better known here as Muck in New York. And New York Empire take a 5-3 lead on Toronto with just over a minute to go here in the first quarter.
So I'm watching Kocher, right? He sets up on the sideline, and he's just hanging out there in the lane. He's kind of like blowing up the play, like it's not happening. All of a sudden, I don't know, he must have lulled his defender, right? He just bursts into that open spot there for the forehand side, gets the disc, and releases in a half a second to Kuzmowicz going into the end zone on a tough upwinder where he's got to put some touch on it. He's got to zip it in there, and it's going to stay enough of elevation that it's not going to get slapped down by the wind. Amazing play there. Charlie, what are you reading there? We got anything else? Ike's happy. Ike's happy.
I'm glad. I'm glad to know.
I think our job done is here complete, Charlie. We've now surpassed all expectations. So that's an upwind break, folks. That's a big deal for New York with a minute left now in this quarter. Let's see if Toronto can get it back to even it up, because that was a big one.
Here's Harris to Carroll.
We got a little bit of a scramble offense here. Everything is short.
Armitage goes up the sideline to Massa Kelly.
Way too easy here. I don't know where the defense is.
Well, New York maybe trying to burn clock here. Now under 40 seconds to go here in the quarter. Trying to prevent this Toronto score. But lots of easy swings so far here for the Rush. Massa Kelly. Going around and into the end zone for the score. Massa Kelly on the assist. And Toronto gets one on the board. And well done by the Rush as they leave just 17 seconds on the clock. Going to be difficult for the Empire to try to get up the field. Could help nullify that break advantage that they have heading here towards the end of the quarter.
I don't know what it was. Did they just, lose a little bit of concentration at that point? Maybe hope that Toronto would slow down. Instead, it was just like pinball out there, like easy passes. Every pass was within 2 or 3 on the stall count there. There wasn't even, did you see anybody cut? There were no vertical cuts. There were just like out cuts for all the Toronto players.
Well, it seemed like New York was trying to take away some of that upfield options, but they gave a lot of easy swings. And with such a wide field here in the AUDL, makes it easy to gain yardage on that. And I think we saw basically they went sideline to sideline a couple times, and they were already at midfield.
And let's give credit to Toronto. They are excellent at breaking the mark, and we saw that there. They had no issue going from side to side.
So 10 seconds to go now here in the quarter. Empire needing to get up there in a hurry. Comes back. Now a shot up the field from Brooks. It's caught. And with less than 3 seconds left, they get into the end zone. Kevin Norton hauled that one in, and he fired it into Wodach through the contact. And with no time remaining, New York gets the score, 6-4, as we come to the close here in the first quarter.
What a way to end the quarter. That was amazing. They had the time there. Babbitt laces it up. Norton reads it perfectly, gets it, knows he's got 2 seconds there, or maybe not, and flips it to Wodach for the score. And that has got to be another confidence builder for this Empire team. Well, we've got a great game here, folks. It's 6-4. New York Empire there up a break, as it's been trading back and forth on breaks, but that upwinder at the end of the quarter is definitely going to help the New York team here in their home opener.
And New York has been here before with an early lead on Toronto. And the question, of course, can they sustain it over the course of the game? I would say, Tony, I'm curious to get your take on this. The Empire are just playing like the better team right now.
Except for the lapse that they seem to have on that last point that we saw, they are playing the better team. We've seen Toronto punt it maybe 2 or 3 times, once for success, the other times not. And not a lot of mistakes really from New York. So, yeah, I'd have to agree with you. They look pretty solid. We were wondering how the new players would fit. Harper Garvey looks great out there. He's been fitting in really great.
Comfortable in that offensive handling role.
Comfortable in the role.
And
seems like
he knows that well from playing in college. He was at Knox D3 team, and he was at Division III Nationals last year and was one of the best players at the tournament, basically doing everything for his team.
44 goals, I believe. I remember reading somewhere.
Insane number. I mean, just really touching the disc constantly, doing everything. And so I think maybe a bit of a natural position for him coming out of a college program where he was far and away the best player on the team.
Do we know what he did with Sub-Zero? Was he a handler with Sub-Zero?
I'm actually not quite sure where they had him lined up. I think he was maybe a D-line handler for them, but certainly I think he's a flexible player. I think he can fit into a bunch of different roles, seems comfortable as a cutter, and I think that's something that you develop when you play in a college team where you don't have those super strict roles, and it's more, we need to get the disc in your hands as much as possible. You're going to learn to do a lot of different things on the field.
Dalton Smith almost.
Right. Lots of other action happening this weekend around the AUDL. Week 2 here in the league. Today, of course, we've got this game right now. Tonight, Detroit and Indianapolis will face off in the Midwest Division. San Francisco and San Jose playing again. And some games coming up in the South Division as well. Later tonight, it will be Raleigh facing Austin in Texas. And they will have the back-to-back with Dallas tomorrow. So a tough road swing for the Flyers.
Raleigh?
Yes.
Who do they start with? Austin?
They've got Austin tonight and Dallas tomorrow.
Not fun.
7 p.m. game tonight and a 1 o'clock matinee tomorrow. So it's going to be tough. I'm sure Raleigh wishes it was the other way around. Get to play Dallas first when you're fresh.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough game for them, and really an important one as they hope to look to retake the top spot in the South Division.
The Texas two-step. In NBA, they have the Texas three-step.
That's right.
Texas two-step. Here to start off the second, and Toronto with the disc.
Centered up to McKnight.
What?
See some interesting defensive choices here from New York.
No traveling is apparently called either.
Yearwood gets it up ahead to Massett Kelly.
Yearwood
Kelly
down.
again. Now with Armitage. Cam Harris. And no pick call there as Armitage gets loose, and then he gets it into the end zone for Andrew Carroll. And a nice efficient score there for Toronto. And once again, some odd defensive looks there from New York.
Yeah, I can't even tell which direction they're forcing. I'm not sure where they're forcing. It's kind of a little blob. I've seen that before in games where you're like, I don't know what's going on here. And then you see somebody just run through and get a D. So I'm not going to put the jury out on these guys yet, but an easy score for Toronto. Some of the things we can talk about, Charlie, is, I talked to Tom Gibbons, head coach of the Empire, before the game. He said one thing that they are afraid of is not the individual players on Toronto, but afraid of how well they know each other. And we're going to see that as this game progresses. Another ex-Empire player told me that Toronto plays every point. They don't take a point off. So, they're looking to get better every point. So it's like this lead isn't safe. To say cliche. Here's this interesting diamond cup zone.
Big shot down the field, and it's knocked away. Great defense from Jonathan Edwards.
Connor Klein was close there.
Klein, another one of the new additions to this Empire team, and had some separation, but the throw hung a little too much, and Edwards able to make a play.
Clearly a designed play by Empire. Let's see if they also set up a defense to take advantage of the deep throw.
Here's Edwards.
Nice catch.
Great catch. Jackie Howe, and he gets hit on the hand, and it's going to be a 10-yard penalty assessed against the Empire. It's a double team there from Garvey.
Let's go back and see Edwards with that catch. Ooh, tipped.
And dropped. So great reaction on the mark there as New York gets it back.
Yeah, Harper Garvey got a piece of that. Got a piece of that scuba attempt by Howe.
Kocher picks it up for New York. Garvey. Very comfortable in the wind as the disc swings all the way around to Craig Cox. Now, looking to the end zone is Kuzmowicz, but he misses. And Toronto will get it back. Jarrett Marin heading to pick it up.
Kuzmowicz has a little bit of lift on his forehands there, and that was pushed away by the wind there, and no chance for Drost. Nice defense there.
Marin
Big
lines
one.
up the big backhand. It's hanging, but it's caught as no Empire players were able to figure out where it was. And now a throw looking out in front, not quite into the end zone,
That's
but
Howe.
on the goal line for Howe. Toronto looking for the game-tying break. Howe flips it up, and the toe the line, and it's called out of bounds. And the referee really in a questionable position there, not on the line, able to get a look at that one.
That was close. If toes were on the line, that was out, but it looked in from here.
Marijo Zlatic, I thought so too, Tony. I thought he was in bounds, but called OB. Now looking the other direction, Kuzmowicz has it. Kocher.
Good hold by Kuzmowicz. Yeah, get it to your handlers.
Garvey gets it back. And he throws the backhand. Oh, and it's weighted perfectly, but it tips off the fingertips of Connor Klein.
That's twice Klein into the end zone. Maybe a little rusty there. He had two hands on. He had one on the other disc that went up to start this point there. And this one off the tips.
So a third opportunity for Toronto.
Look at this cup here. Big 6'6" Craig Cox, but they slip it underneath him.
And a whistle. And I believe it looks like a timeout called by the Rush.
Yep.
So the D-line getting tired.
Yeah, these early season games, Charlie, you know, it's beginning of April here, and there's not been a whole lot of time for people to train and get ready, and fitness will be an issue. Not to mention that 3 weeks ago, that monster blizzard that we had didn't really help these guys who practice outdoors on the New York team. And Toronto, you know, it's not exactly warm times up there.
Yeah, I have to say, all things considered, I'm pretty impressed by the level of play for the game one of the AUDL season for both of these teams. Pretty crisp in the wind here so far. A few little mistakes and throwaways, but by and large, some very impressive throwing from both teams.
I agree. And I think both teams see the importance of this game. Like, I think this is, if New York wins this game, it's, you know, it's one game in the standings. It doesn't mean that whole much, but it's a psychological advantage for sure.
Well, and I think it does make a difference. You know, this New York team is not likely to, they should not lose to any teams other than Toronto and DC this season. And that doesn't mean that they won't, but they are the better team on paper than anybody
Montreal's
other
pickups?
than. I mean, I think Montreal is a competitive team, and I think that you could see New York maybe lose at Montreal, but really, even on the road, this New York team is going to be favored to win most of the games that they play. So this game against the Rush does matter a lot because they're not going to face off that many times this season. And, you know, having home field advantage in the playoffs, big deal in the AUDL. McKnight swings it to Carroll. Crisp offense to start here from Toronto out of the timeout. But a poor throw there from Massac Kelly. And it will be with New York again, their fourth chance here to put it in on offense. Kocher.
Oh,
Mike Drost, he gets bumped.
Strange. Quite intentional. Not really. I don't know if that was a message being sent. I don't know why you would do that.
No, just a common foul call there on the bump on the mark. Armitage clearly trying to rattle the thrower there.
Yeah, Mike Drost, I don't think he's
Lamar back to the middle for Mike Drost. Mike Drost flips it to Kocher, and he throws it out in front and nearly into the end zone, and then caught in the contact. And the big spike. Emphatic as Matt Lamar gets the score for New York. And now a little bit of a scuffle on the field as there's the players getting into it out there after some physical marking from the rush. And then the heavy contact on the score. And referees have to break it up out there. And both teams still all
jawing at each other.
Jammed up together. And you see Massac Kelly there
Is
not happy, talking to Ryan Drost and trying to cool him off. I think didn't appreciate the spike. And so
looks like they talked out a little bit. That's Ryan and Mike are twins, of course, and Mike just got bodied up and then fouled again when he released that throw. And it looked like he's coming in to, defend his brother a little bit there. It was clearly fouled twice on that sequence for no real good reason.
Well, familiarity breeds contempt, Tony, and these players know each other very well. They compete against each other all year here in the AUDL and then during the club season. And as we got a tight game here to start, things getting a little chippy.
Yeah, refs talking it over right now, see if they might think about calling out some fouls, and we'll pull out and see. Looks like we're going to start up the next point there. Crazy sequence there. Mike Drost throws what looks like to be 2 push passes, and the second one for a goal, and the legs taken out of. I don't know if that was Ryan Drost that went down and caught that. And it looked like that's maybe where the altercation started, because there was a little contact after that play was caught. But, the defender there coming in on a crazy push pass, you don't know where that disc is going to go. So that might have something to do with it.
Yeah, and I think it was the culmination of it looked like a decision by Toronto to be more physical on the marks on that point. And we saw the 10-yard penalty for the bump. But then even after that, there was a lot of physicality. And a lot of times AUDL referees are going to let you get away with that.
You go back to the refs, Matt, if you want. They're still talking.
But then after the heavy contact and then the big spike, Toronto did not like that.
They're going to bring it. It looks like they
go to the refs, Matt.
Let's see what they're talking to. They're bringing both the captains over. That's good right there. Okay, they're going to shake Ryan. They're going to talk to these guys, make sure everyone's on the same page here. And we see Thompson McKnight, of course, Ryan Drost. That's Kosmowitz in the middle, number 1. Kosmowitz, I think, had the legs taken. He just got the same hat and haircut as Ryan, just like not the same size. So they're going to talk to Markian right now.
So we have a
Spirit Circle.
Yeah,
Let's call it
a game delay here by the referees, and I'm not sure if they're explaining if there have been some kind of penalties handed out here, or if they're just talking about setting the tone of the game.
Hey,
but
hey, Jesse.
On the field huddle here as they
send someone to find out what happened and come back and tell us. Yeah, and then we'll tell all these people.
Toronto guys are jerks. That's what happened.
Uh-oh. We're not getting that mics.
So long discussion here.
Yeah.
We're going to try to find out for you. I don't know if that's possible. Good crowd on hand here, Charlie. Decent for New York standards here, maybe like 150, 200 people. 250, 300.
A couple hundred here as we get the huddle breaking up here and hopefully get an update from the referee crew
James.
as to what they were discussing.
James.
All right.
So we're going to get the call here. I'm guessing that there were some penalties assessed for the contact after the point.
Okay.
And I think
What number? What number, James? Okay.
Okay, so we got unsportsmanlike conduct on Massac Kelly, number 17 on Toronto. So that's the official ruling. All right, back to play here. Thanks
Full
for
hands
hanging with us.
just in bounds.
This will add some energy to Toronto, though, I'll tell you that. Already you can see him sprinting downfield.
Hune flips it ahead to Ellis.
Hune, one of the 19-year-old junior world's team players on this line.
Marin with the scoober finds Lindquist.
Another one, yep.
Almost all scoobers on this point. Big bid from Babbitt, biting hard on the backhand fake. Lindquist, scoober again. And there's nobody there but his man, Brent Tan, with another goal. And Toronto with the quick score.
Yeah, after the long delay there and the misconduct foul issued to Isaiah Masick-Kelly. We didn't see the exact incident that happened there, but we do know number 17 with that penalty. But Toronto comes down, and with that big, wonderful scoober that Lindquist has, he gets full windmill rotation on that. He's able to get it into the end zone there with a lot of wind coming up now. Not a bad choice of a throw there. If you get enough Z's on it, it's not going to get pushed down. You've got a nice float to it. 7-6, New York still up a break. I believe it might be 2 breaks, in fact. So we got 6 minutes left here in the second quarter, and the wind has picked up. And there's a little juice in the game now after the scuffle.
Garvey fires a flick, looking for Kuzmowicz, and just a little too far. And it's proven to be a difficult throw from that distance because the wind is really pushing. But I think both teams are pretty okay with giving up the turnover down in the end zone.
Yeah, well, let's see if New York plays tighter defense than they have in the past. And they are so far.
Contact in the stack, and no whistle to McKenzie.
This is where the comfort of these guys playing together comes to be a factor. Ooh, a little high.
High throw, and over the top. Edwards climbs the ladder and goes over Brooks. Edwards dishes back to Marin. Toronto looking to tie it up. Thrown into the end zone, it hangs, and it's knocked away. And looking for the whistle is Toronto. They're not going to get it. Kuzmowicz gets the block, and the Empire get it back.
Well, Markian Kuzmowicz there also up on the ladder there. Got up pretty high. I didn't see the contact from this angle, but Howe was looking for it. No call.
Garvey to Kocher.
Now they're going to punt again. I would suggest they try to work it, but double team coming.
Quick double. Kocher gets out of it with a little hammer. Now, no mark. Backhand from Garvey looking to the end zone. He's got his man, and it's an Empire score.
Wow. What a rip from Garvey. Love the touch on that throw. Hit it right his man in stride. Just hugged along the sidelines there. Didn't sail, didn't get pushed down, and got away from the defender. What a great throw.
Matt Auletta with the score for the Empire. And Toronto goes with the risky double team. Kocher breaks through. Garvey with no mark finds the range.
Yeah, well said there, Charlie. That is the risk of the double team. Although it wasn't easy for him to break the mark. He had to do kind of a hybrid scuba hammer, one of those like half hammers. But it worked. Got it to wide open Garvey, and Garvey had the green light. It's scary when you're that guy downfield as Pippen was to receive that disc, and it's coming in and it's perfect. Sometimes that's a little scary. Here comes the pull. Not a bad pull going into the wind there. And Toronto, again, quick to pick it up. And they'll move it quickly up ahead here. And a little zone look from New York.
Armstrong to Carroll. Up ahead to Yearwood. Yearwood looks to the corner, not there.
Ooh.
Now he loses control of disc. I think he was trying to throw a fake there. And a big muscle throw. It's hanging, but not enough. Mike Drost can't get there on the throw from Lamar.
Not a bad look from Lamar.
Armitage gets it to Cam Harris. Now swung and sent up the sideline to Carroll. McKnight looking for Yearwood. Big bid from Babbitt, but not there. Yearwood not quite into the end zone. So on the goal line, needing to get a reset. He finds one. Nice catch under pressure there is from Armstrong. again, Yearwood.
Babbitt doing his best as a safety there. Dropped off Yearwood and went to the man, the cutter, and that was a smart decision there. And now they're going to be backed up. So from the goal line, now they're 20 yards back. Toronto moving the wrong direction. Crafty throw by Yearwood there.
Massac Kelly floating one out into space for Yearwood, and he makes a great catch going to the ground, reaching out with the left hand and pulling it down.
Adrian Yearwood I saw a lot in World Games in Colombia. He's lost a bit of a step there, but he was always kind of a guy that hung around the disc and was able to make crafty throws. Smart player, really sees the field really well. And he saw there twice make really great out cuts there for his handlers to find him. And that second one was great for the goal.
Under 3 minutes to go here in the first half. The Empire holding on to a 1-point lead here. Then an even second quarter.
Charlie, do we have anything to sell here? We have any like you have an Ultra World Disc Golf, okay? We like them.
Yes, we certainly do. If you're a
we like Stash
disc golf
and
fan.
Vest. We like Stash and Vest.
Yes,
Yep.
sponsor of the New York Empire.
Okay, right. We like them. We like beer from Toronto.
Here's Garvey picking up for the Empire.
Whoa, that.
Unleashing a hammer and a beautiful throw and into the end zone. What a dime from Harper Garvey.
Oh, that was amazing. I love that throw. I think was that Connor Klein that got that one?
I believe Aletta again on the receiving end for his second straight goal. At Garvey with the 60-yard hammer.
You're right, that's to 11.
And he drops it in over the defense. And a very quick score.
All right, he's got some tools there. So we've seen the forehand, the backhand, and the hammer all within the span of the last 2 minutes. The forehand sailed too long on the windy day. Backhand a dime, and a dime for a hammer. So Harper Garvey putting on a little bit of a show here.
And I can't stress it enough. I think that the addition of players like Garvey, Greg Cox, Connor Klein, they are going to make a real difference over the course of the season. And you're seeing it here early as Garvey has been a key contributor for them on the offensive side of the disc.
Great pull. I think Stevens really got that one up there. Now they can get their defense down as Toronto won't get a free 15 yards like they've been getting.
Jeff Lindquist, far side. Goes underneath the Massac Kelly. Massac Kelly up the line to Carroll. Under pressure, now flipped into the end zone. And Lindquist hauls it in. Nice work up the far side there from Toronto, and a quick score for them as well to answer. 9-8 New York.
The bid was there from New York and just not in time. Nice move there from Toronto. Armstrong able to keep his eyes on the prize. Snags the disc in front of the bidding New York player. 2:22 to go here in the first half. And we're having a good time. If you want to tweet at us, I'm at Leo Basque, Leobasq. Charlie, you can find, I'm sure,
At C. Eisenhood.
C. Eisenhood. C. Eisenhood at. And you can tell us what we're doing wrong if we're doing anything wrong. It's starting to get a little chilly out here, Charlie.
Yeah, it's that classic spring weather here in New York. Kind of goes back and forth between hot and cold. And we're in the, as the breeze has picked up, it's cooled off a bit.
Here's Craig Cox picking it up.
Cox floats it to Kuzmowicz, and he tips it a couple times but can't haul it in. So pretty good midfield opportunity here for the Rush, looking to tie it up. Here's Marin. Centered up to Tatulea.
Nice quick
Jeff
movement
Powell
here.
gets it to Marin.
We haven't called Powell's name a lot today, but he's going to be a factor.
Zlatic. Swinging it around. Again, very little reset pressure from New York. Giving up the swings for the most part. Ian McKenzie.
Yeah.
He gets bumped. 10-yard penalty.
Kuzmowicz tried to prevent the around. Instead gets called for the foul.
McKenzie, break backhand. And into the end zone for Tatulea. And Toronto ties it up 9-9.
Well, that's a mistake there on the defense. And a quick action there from Toronto where as soon as that disc is checked in, it's released immediately. No chance for Cosmo. He would have had to have been planted on that side. But because of their skill set in breaking the mark, Toronto's, it's tough to really feel comfortable planting yourself onto one side on the force when they feel that they can just break through you anyway. So that's an upwind break, folks, for Toronto to even this score up and maybe get the downwinder here. This is a real pressure cooker here for New York right now, as they are a minute and 24 facing the wind.
Yeah, keep an eye on the clock here, as these upwind goals have been hard to come by. We've seen lots of fast downwinders, but New York will need to be fairly efficient if they want to score for the buzzer. Here's Garvey.
Facing this diamond again. It's like a loose, I don't know what it's to prevent through the center. Kocher breaks it though.
Taylor Brooks holding here for the Empire. Back to Garvey. He unleashes a backhand. He's looking for Klein, and Klein's got it. Another beautiful throw from Harper Garvey. And his brand new teammate Connor Klein goes up and pulls it down.
Wow, what a way to respond. Okay, so in 20 seconds, they move it around, get through that little junky clam zone in the beginning of the field, get it to Garvey, who is in a power position of sorts, but it wasn't even like he was wide open, and he rips a beautiful dime out there, puts it to his man. No one's going to get to it but Connor Klein, and he does. Okay, so what do we have? We got a downwind backhand, downwind forehand, downwind hammer, upwind backhand.
And he threw a really nice
a
forehand earlier upwind to set them up for a score. And yeah, we were talking about this on last weekend's Easterns broadcast, throwing for the cycle.
Oh, yes.
A new concept maybe for Ultimate.
I wanted to talk about this a little bit, actually.
So
yeah.
if you throw a huck backhanded forehand, a break backhanded forehand, a scuba or any kind of upside down throw, and an offhand throw. So if you're a righty, you got to go lefty. If you do all of those things in a game, then you have thrown for the cycle.
Okay, so 6.
So we'll see if Harper can get there.
Okay, yeah.
Here's Kelly for Toronto.
So that's it. That's 6. You have to throw 6 goals?
Yeah.
All right, that's a lot. All right. I had come up with some other solutions for that, but we'll talk about that later on. Let's focus here on this upwind opportunity for Toronto.
Armstrong holding. Back to Carroll.
Okay, well, that was a great defense there from Babbitt to prevent the easy swing.
McKnight. To Harris. Stall getting high. Harris forced to throw the hammer, and it's easily taken away by Babbitt. 4 seconds left. Looking to the end zone. Will it stay up? Will the defense get there? And it's knocked away. Great defense from Kelly as the half comes to a close with the New York Empire leading 10-9.
Wow, that's we're getting our money's worth out of this game, I got to say. So Harris with sensing the clock coming down, cranks the hammer over there. Babbitt goes into position, is able to get that. And then quickly downfield with a legit shot to get another one on the board, knocked away by Isaiah Kelly, and that comes to close there. New York up a break and up the score, 10-9 at the half. We'll run a few snippets here, or run a little break. We're going to take a break, warm up, and come right back to us. Thanks for tuning in.
Stall count release. Loose. Oh my goodness. Thompson McKnight behind his back. This is it. With the rush score, they win. Scuba caught. Toronto has prevailed on the road to knock off the DC Breeze. And fourth. Yearwood at midfield. Gets it off. Oh, and Lloyd catches, flips it into the end zone, and the referees say it counts.
That was unbelievable.
Mark Lloyd, the infield greatest to beat.
Monroe's the intended recipient. He's all the way to the far sideline. He goes up, but it is ripped away from him. Offense, they catch it in the opposing end zone. Deep shot. No, and it's a deep shot immediately. It's Muck sprinting deep. Duke chasing. Great ground, and oh my goodness, it leaping.
I played linebacker in football, so very different. I was hitting guys all the time. I was a middle linebacker, so it's very different, not being able to contact, but I like to play body defense and ultimate still and be as physical as I can be.
Yeah. Mario Party 2.
Oh,
Costumes.
I like the 5th Mario Party.
Oh, come on. Then you're going to GameCube then.
No.
That's GameCube.
Oh, shoot.
You get up to 3, and that's N64. Anything after that?
And there's something with the 5th. There's some penguins and the penguin band.
The one that you go down when you're sliding on them?
Yeah. Those are sick.
I know that.
That's the 5th, right?
Yeah, that's the 5th one. That's the 5th one.
Which is better, the offense or the defense?
Defense, 100%. You chose 2 defensive players.
Yeah, defense. You gotta get breaks.
100%.
Gotta get breaks.
Anyone talks about the Empire, they don't talk about our offense. Talk about the defense.
Usually I tell people that I'm a Pro Ultimate player first, but I mean, what else I do is I work as a paralegal for a law firm in Manhattan. So that's my daily job, day-to-day life.
Which one do you prefer?
Ultimate for sure.
When I first started telling my coworkers that I was a professional Ultimate Frisbee player, they were like, "Or is that with dogs?" And so as the more discussions kept happening, I showed them more videos. They really started to enjoy it. I invited them out to games, and they really kind of fell in love with it. Now they ask me about it. They ask me about the season. They ask me about where the tournaments are, where the championship's going to be held.
I think all of my material should just be outtakes of me refusing to answer the questions.
The latest funny joke. You really put me on the spot with some of these. I got one, yeah. What do you call fake spaghetti? An impasta.
High stall count release. Loose. Oh my goodness! Thompson McKnight behind his back. This is it. The rush score, they win. Schuber caught. Toronto has prevailed on the road to knock off the DC Breeze. Fourth, Yearwood at midfield, gets it off. Oh, and Lloyd catches, flips it into the end zone, and the referees say it counts. That was unbelievable. Mark Lloyd, the infield greatest to beat. Chasing, great ground, and oh my goodness, leaping.
Played linebacker in football, so very different. I was hitting guys all the time. I was a middle linebacker, so it's very different, you know, not being able to contact, but I like to play body defense and ultimate still and be as physical as I can be.
Mario Party?
Yeah.
2? Oh, costumes?
I like the 5th Mario Party.
Oh, come on. Then you're going to GameCube then.
No.
That's GameCube.
Oh, jeez.
You get up to 3, and that's N64. Anything after that?
There's something with the 5th, there's some penguins and penguin fans.
The one that you go down when you're sliding on them?
Yeah.
I know that.
That's the 5th, right?
Yeah, that's the 5th one. That's the 5th one.
Which is better, the offense or the defense?
Defense, 100%. You chose 2 defensive players.
Yeah.
You gotta get breaks. Gotta get breaks. Anyone talks about the Empire, they don't talk about our offense. Talk about the defense.
Usually I tell people that I'm a Pro Ultimate player first, but I mean, what else I do is I work as a paralegal for a law firm in Manhattan. So that's my daily job, day-to-day life.
Which one do you prefer?
Ultimate for sure.
When I first started telling my coworkers that I was a professional ultimate frisbee player, they were like, "Is that with dogs?" You know, and so as the more discussions kept happening, I showed them more videos. They really started to enjoy it. I invited them out to games, and they really kind of fell in love with it. Now they ask me about it. They ask me about the season. They ask me about where the tournaments are, where the championship's going to be held.
I think all of my material should just be outtakes of me refusing to answer the questions.
The latest funny joke. You really put me on the spot with some of these. I got one, yeah. What do you call fake spaghetti? An impasta. linebacker in football, so very different. I was hitting guys all the time. I was a middle linebacker, so it's very different, you know, not being able to contact, but I like to play body defense and ultimate still and be as physical as I can be.
Mario Party 2. Oh, costumes.
I like the 5th Mario Party.
Oh, come on. Then you're going to GameCube then.
No.
That's GameCube.
Oh, jeez.
You get up to 3, and that's N64. Anything after that?
There's something with the 5th. There's some penguins and the penguin band.
The one that you go down when you're sliding on?
Yeah.
I know that.
That's the 5th, right?
Yeah, that's the 5th one. That's the 5th one.
Welcome back as we get set for the second half of action here between the Toronto Rush and the New York Empire. Toronto Rush with the opening pull here in the second half. It's a 10-9 New York lead after 1. And it's going to be Harper Garvey getting things started once again here for the Empire offense. And a whistle now as there's some contact between Marijo Zlatic and Markian Kuzmowicz, and it's going to be a 10-yard penalty against the Rush. So some displeasure voiced from the crowd as well. Chris Kocher here facing the double team for New York. Stahl getting high, and he's forced to throw a difficult inside backhand, and it's going to turn over. And now a huge rip looking down into the end zone, and it's a goal just like that for Toronto. Jackie Howe streaks down the field as Toronto ties it up. And what a shot off the turnover. So the double team didn't pay off in the first half, but it pays off there as Kocher turns it over, and Toronto immediately turns it into a break. Great start for the second half for the Rush.
Well, you can hear the fire from the sidelines over there too. The Toronto guys going nuts on that play. Real boost for that squad over there as they are right back in this game. But I miss Charlie. That was
Tony,
away.
not much.
Yeah.
An impressive quick score from Toronto for the first break of the second half, and we're
What a
all even
laser
here, and it should be an excellent second half. Thanks for being with us. Empire offense. Another chance here. Garvey. And a turnover from Garvey there, looking for Kocher. So another short field opportunity for Toronto. Looking to take a lead here. It would be their first lead of the game. Nicely tracked down by Jeff Lindquist.
A lot of energy from Toronto.
Now with Ellis. Lindquist dishes to Ellis. Again, nice patience from the Rush. Lindquist. Swings around the horn to McKenzie. McKenzie, backhand into the end zone. Goal, Toronto. And just like that, as Edwards pulls it down, they take their first lead of the game here at 11-10.
I mean, New York seriously has to consider whether they need a timeout now. I mean, just the way these two teams came out from this half is just a world of difference. You know, Toronto's all in, and Toronto's shaking. New York is shaking now. That's 2 breaks in a row. All the energy is flowing to Toronto, and the heads are down on New York's side right now. Is you know, do you risk, you know, putting your O-line out there again and saying, you know, let's get this score, or do you like settle down the nerves and say, all right, let's just take it easy and punch it in?
Well, I think the frustrating thing for New York is that it was 2 relatively uncharacteristic mistakes. Kocher with maybe his first turnover of the game.
He did have a couple others. He had that one he tried to punch it in. they got D'd up.
You're right.
That was Kotcher.
But certainly we've seen a lot of consistency from the Empire O-line, and it's just a couple of quick errors, and it's turned into 2 quick Toronto breaks. Garvey facing the double team, and faces a lot of contact, but no whistle. And now a very, very late whistle.
That was interesting. So he looked like he tried to...
And I'm not sure
downfield
what the
pick.
call is here. The trailing referee appears to have called a foul, and it's going to go back to New York. And the referee who made the whistle there was 50 yards away from the play. I mean, it's honestly impossible that he was able to see what happened there. And the ref right behind the disc did not call it. But either way, it goes back to the Empire, and a little home cooking here for New York.
Well, everybody agreed on it, though. That was the other odd thing. The Toronto, nice dip. Nice tip disc.
Fabulous play near sideline from Ian McKenzie. Well, the initial call may have been missed.
Yeah.
But how the trailing referee calls it there is
that was a little odd.
Unbelievable.
You might have actually had a good look at it from over there. I don't know, but I'm with you.
Jarrett Marin, double team, steps into a big backhand. Is it going to get back in? Not enough. Carroll trying to chase it up that sideline, but never got back in bounds. So this is going to come and be pretty good field position for New York. It'll be Garvey to pick up here, 25 yards from the end zone.
No double team this time for Garvey. He's got to breathe a sigh of relief on that.
Great defense underneath, but a whistle.
Yeah,
Jackie Howe rung up for the contact there on the undercut from Stevens.
Yeah, both officials there. Stevens kept his body in front of him, and a good call there.
Stevens looking.
Defense is fierce.
And again, the double team pays off. And another whistle here, and
I don't know what's going on.
Looks like a timeout here for Toronto. I saw a timeout signal, I believe. Now some discussion here between the Toronto Rush player and the referees, but it is going to be timeout and
if the disc
looks like a push called, though, so it must be New York disc.
Yeah, if the disc is where it's at, it's got to be a New York disc or a stall call. I'd be surprised if it was a stall. Then again, they've been coming pretty quick.
Well, the step through on the double team there, certainly some contact.
New York's offense still on the field, so I'm going to presume they're going to keep the disc.
And, here's the issue, Tony. The referees have just not called it consistently what they're going to allow or disallow on the mark.
The step through was interesting, right? So he kind of tried to draw that, right? Like Harper just stepped through the 2 defenders, and I don't know what you call there, right? Like, whose space is that? Like, if he got enough space to get through his arm cleanly, and then it was hit, that would be a foul on the defender. So that's a legit call. They haven't called that before, and he was clearly trying to draw it. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, and I think finding the level of contact that you're going to allow on the mark is a really important thing that the league needs to figure out, and it needs to be called consistently.
Yeah.
In the NBA, for example, you often see.
Oh, they're really consistent.
They allow but they allow more contact on double teams than in other situations. As we get set to go here again, as Garvey checks it in for New York, and it's just a drawn-up play. Babbitt goes into the end zone and blows by Carroll. Carroll talking to the referee, calling that Babbitt maybe gave him a little swim move, but it's going to be a New York score as they tie it up at 11.
Well, we got a lot of stuff going on this game. We've got talks with the referees. We've got some physicality. Okay, we haven't talked all game about how physical these teams are. New York loves to play physical. They love to body up on the mark. The Toronto Rush are a physical team. They've got some big bodies, and we're starting to see that kind of play out. I mean, they were fouling pretty much on every possession down here, just on that last play, that last sequence there. Legitimately, so it's getting a little more heated, if you could say.
Well, yeah, and again, it comes down to: are you going to call those fouls when there's contact on the mark? And they just have been inconsistent with his calls, and I think that's why you're seeing some frustration from players. Rush offense back to work. Thompson McKnight catches the centering pass. It's underneath to Yearwood. Carroll, he's been active downfield for Toronto.
Armitage has not gotten into the end zone yet for them.
Swings to Yearwood.
Uh-oh.
And a miscommunication on a lucky break for Toronto as Carroll is there. Armstrong.
Nice lefty.
McKnight. Swings around and into the end zone for Isaiah Masson-Kelly, assisted by Steve Armitage.
Well, great patience. Toronto really moving the disc well to both sides of the field. You know, they did get a little bailout there. Let's call it what it is. They threw that pass into the middle on a miscommunication, and Carroll saved that possession. But that's a hold for Toronto, and now it's up to the New York offense. Masson-Kelly there, just enough of a step on Mike Drost. Drost looked like he was going to make a bid on it, just didn't quite get enough, off of his feet to get there.
Another tight match between Toronto and New York.
One thing we talked about sort of at the Open, New York last year in close matches, 0-5. And Toronto 3-0. So if it's a 1-point game or overtime, it's going to favor Toronto if it's anything like last year.
Yeah, that's just been the challenge for New York, is getting over that hump late in games, fourth quarter overtime. They've generally struggled, especially against this Toronto team. Garvey.
I love you, Taylor Brooks!
They're looking for the spaces, not nearly as much crisp movement as we saw from the Toronto offense.
Wodach and Garvey working it back and forth in the backfield. Now Garvey looking deep. He's got Connor Klein, and Connor Klein's got a goal. Another fantastic throw from Harper Garvey as we see Connor Klein trot back to the sideline after the score.
I don't know how much longer they're going to get away with this, but this is one of those things where you're like, well, the guy's like, shooting amazing. Keep on giving the disc, throw those goals. And it is working. They're not getting a whole lot of movement otherwise than that. So it's almost like the team's waiting for Harper to throw it into a goal. And I see that happen sometimes, and I get a little worried.
That's a great point. I think on that point we saw them just swing until Garvey found an opening. But when you're shooting as well as he is,
yeah,
you're
exactly.
not getting punished. But
yep.
Something to keep an eye on, as Toronto has had some success putting pressure on the throws by double teaming and playing a little bit more physical on the mark.
What a great game here. We have just a really good up and down battle here. Let's see if Toronto, again, with a really smooth looking offense as they take the field here to receive.
High throw, tipped and taken away by New York. Ian Guerin ultimately knocks it to the turf, and it's going to be Kofor to pick up for the Empire as they look to retake the lead.
Well, it wasn't obvious already. Real big wind gust there.
Disc comes around to Mike Drost. Sam Taylor. Big swing out to Guerin. And Guerin's throw may have been foot blocked. Ends up in the turf. Nice mark there from Connor Armstrong. And now Armstrong looking deep.
He's got a nice touch on that one.
And he drops it in. Cam Harris had a couple steps, and Toronto goes up 13-12.
Quick strike.
And great sequence from Connor Armstrong.
Yeah. Connor Armstrong, one of the young kids on this team, one of the young stars. We called his name a number of times. He threw a lefty upfield here not too long ago, and gets the block there. I don't know if it was him saying he was making the foot block there, and then really nice from that throw to edge it You know, you put that up too high and the wind's going to sail it out the back, but he edged it in there nicely.
So the Rush hanging on to this 1-point advantage. As time ticks away here in the third quarter. Pull goes up from Marin. Again, it's Garvey. Wodach takes the centering pass. Double team early from Toronto. They look to double again.
We've got a man open. Can they find him? Harper will find him.
Again, it's a two-man game in the backfield. Garvey pops it up to Wodach.
Wodach gets up.
Wodach thinking about it and now putting up the hammer, but it may have been too late, and everybody misreads it. Matt Stevens playing the defender instead of the disc. Can't get a hand on it.
Yeah, Edwards with the big rush there for Toronto, pardon the pun, jumps the disc and pulls Steven away from it.
Nice inside throw to get things started for Toronto. Jeff Powell.
Jackie Howe has the throws.
Howe dishes to Tatulea. Another inside backhand, but this one not able to be corralled. So New York will get it back here. Toronto has been using that inside backhand early and often. That time doesn't work. And New York will have a second chance here on this offensive possession.
Kocher, look, you know, they're looking too far. I feel like they need to move it a little bit quicker.
Auletta, hammer to the back line, and it's off the fingertips of Kevin Norton at the back of the end zone.
Tough read there. He wanted to look down and check his feet.
And I think he was looking straight into the sun as that disc came in as well.
That's a good point. Yeah, you're right. Normally, of course, you want to try to get that with two hands. But if you're facing some circumstances as he did with the sun and not quite knowing where your feet are, maybe the one is the way to go.
Marin
Big rip.
Unleashes a backhand and a big layout, but not able to haul it in as Zlatic. Nice effort, but just a touch too far from Marin.
It's got to be a timeout here. That's what I would expect to be the call, or we have an injury.
I believe it's going to be an injury substitution as Ian McKenzie heads off the field.
Yeah, and Norton, big Kevin Norton, number 15 from New York, is the other guy walking off. And incoming is Ryan Drost for New York. And Breton Tan,
Breton Tan coming in for Toronto.
This is a big point here. This has been a lot of back and forth.
Garvey hits Kocher up line. Kocher has just been unstoppable in the backfield so far in this game. Here's Taylor Brooks. He looks deep, and it's easily knocked away. Poor throw there from Brooks, and nice defense by Zlatic.
Yeah, you know, he threw an in-betweener there, right? You know, he could have, like, put it into the end zone for him, or he could have put it short for him, and he put it right in the right in between, and that's an easy D. Guys looking tired out there.
And I believe we have a timeout here for Toronto.
Charlie, you know what I want to see here is from New York is they got to work it in now. You know, and the shots aren't working. They're not getting their, you know, they're trying to punch it in. Why? I mean, they could just handle it all the way down the field at this point. Now that you've softened them up enough by throwing 5 turnovers in a row, why not just work it all the way down? Easier said than done, of course, but why are they taking these shots from this far out? This is the time of the game when I would love to see, you know, a 3-man show, Kocher or Garvey and someone else just wrecking ball that into the end zone.
And we've seen them have success with the strike cut, with the swing pass, and they've had some points where they've done that and worked it patiently down. But I think a few big throws from Garvey and start to get eyes for the end zone from deep. And they haven't really adjusted to Toronto's shifting defense.
And this guy, why don't we bring Jeff back? I say we, if I were New York, I would bring Jeff back into the action a little bit. Like he can handle too. He's not the best handler in the world, but put him in that crew with those guys, and they're going to get a goal out of it, I feel.
Jeff Babbitt will be on the field here to play some defense.
And you see Toronto has that ability to do that, and they've been doing it great, where they can you know, have 3-4 guys and just handle it all the way up the field.
We've watched them be extremely patient for a few of their breaks. Looking for another one here. 3 minutes to go here in the third quarter. Toronto trying to add to their lead. Cam Harris comes under. Great inside throw to Massett Kelly.
Oh, nice cut by Lindquist. Boy, he juked his man out.
Lindquist, just the grizzled veteran. Harris sends it around to Massett Kelly.
Yeah, what a great lineup. What strength to have these guys.
Throw pops up, and it's going to go back to New York.
Well, it was all looking so good, Charlie, until that overthrow. This is a grinded point. This is a hell point. This is the point where no one is feeling fresh. No one's got legs. And if you do, now's the time to show it. Well, maybe that's another reason why they're looking deep. But a lot of help deep by the Toronto Rush. I see a couple guys going there. Oof,
throw is tipped and caught on the second effort there by Kofer. And no call on the contact. And Andrew Carroll gets a run-through block for Toronto. So now a short field for Toronto. Plenty of time here before the end of the quarter for them to put this in. Nicely handled there on the low throw by McKnight. Lindquist thought about going break side, and he's going to have it there on the second look. And he goes into the end zone. Toronto adds to their lead. They're up 14-12 here in the third.
Big point for Toronto to win. The wind has died down a little bit. Still obviously gusting, popping up here and there. The grinded hell points, you really want to win those because it's just a reset button. Now both teams, those guys are all tired. They're all out there. So now you got a fresh lineup there. They're not going to be as used to touching the disc as much as your core guys you had out there. And just a great D effort from Toronto right there. That run through D and the points before there really got them that point.
See that Toronto D-line looking to see if they can add on in the downwind direction. The wind has died down a bit.
You can still see the flags up there, pretty windy, but down in this, we are in a lowered area. It's not as bad.
Big pull comes down, caught by Kocher, center to Garvey. Wodach comes underneath, and then he fires a perfect backhand up the field to Klein. Dished off to Brooks. Brooks looking to the end zone, and a score for Kuzmowicz. And so after a scoring drought there, New York puts it in, back within one.
Well, great job. So Wodach there, who we've seen rise up and score, ripped that upwind backhand very nicely, put it out to space, let his man run underneath that, and that's what set all that up there. So great job by New York. And these two teams are really going back and forth.
Been a great game, Tony.
Yeah, we haven't seen a lead more than 2 points, I don't think. And both teams have shared that as they've been leapfrogging each other. And just a lot of fun to watch.
Strong defensive line out on the field for New York. Possibly just 1 point left here in the third quarter.
Yeah, 1:15 left on the clock here. You want
big
this
opportunity for the Empire. Try to get even before the end of the third. Disc center to McKnight.
Now you start looking at matchups here. And where do you bring in Jeff?
Nice throw from Armstrong to McKnight. Massett Kelly uncovered underneath.
Yeah, they jumped the lane on him.
Toronto just content to keep working the unders.
And why wouldn't they be?
Comes near side to Harris. Harris looking to the end zone for Massett Kelly, and he's got a score.
Nice throw from Cam Harris there. Babbitt shaking his head, disappointed that maybe he gave that up, although that looked like that to be the force Kofor, just not enough legs to get there. I believe that was Kofor on, who was that chasing him down? No, Brooks. Man, tough job for the New York. Great job by Toronto just to work it up, play patient. And again, this is where you got your guys. So who we saw Lindquist, Cam Harris, Yearwood, Connor Armstrong as a young guy out there is doing great work out there. We saw him right in the mix there. But that core and Isaiah Massett-Kelly, the core's coming through. The guys that have been doing this for a long time and doing it at the highest levels of the game are showing it right now.
And they have been here before. They know this pressure. They know what it means to be in a close game. And they have the psychological advantage, and a big one, over New York. They've never lost to New York.
Yeah.
And the Empire have some work to do now. Down 2, 40 seconds to go in the third. Clock starts. They really would like to get one here before the end of the quarter, because I believe it will be Toronto receiving to start the fourth. Kocher working with Garvey. Garvey steps into a forehand. Great throw up the field, puts him in a good position as Wodach has it, and he sends a backhand out into the break side space. Kuzmowicz all alone, and he hauls it in.
Well, they've got some exciting players on this team, Charlie, just as you say. Garvey then with a big breakthrough. Wodach gets it, rips it over to the other side of the field, and just like that, they're right back at it.
Well, and New York has made a great adjustment. They put Wodach downfield and let him operate as more of a continuation cutter and be able to use his throws from upfield instead of working out of the backfield. Yeah. And that's given them a couple of very nice scores, as we saw Wodach with a couple nice backhands in the last 2 offensive points.
Yeah, and that's where Harper comes in, right? You got Harpy and Kocher back there. Wodach doesn't have to be back there.
And it's just a totally different looking offensive line right now for New York. Last year, they didn't have the same kind of depth at handler. And you can see they're mixing and matching in the backfield and getting great work so far out of those 3, particularly Harper, Garvey, and Chris Kocher and John Wodach.
Interesting choice on the pull here to send it a little bit short.
8 seconds. There's the huck. Armitage looking deep for Massett-Kelly. It's taken away. Just enough time if they can get the throw to the end zone. 3 rush defenders in the backfield. It's tipped, and it's caught!
Wow.
Izzy Bryant!
Izzy watched that the whole time. He saw those guys there.
He just kept running. There were 3 rush defenders there. He had no business even being in the play. They didn't catch it. They tipped it up. And New York pulls it down for the buzzer-beating score. 15-15 as we head into the fourth quarter.
Oh, that could be the play of the game. Bryant ran. There was a scrum there, and I saw him just run around behind those guys like, okay, well, I'll just go behind them if they tip it. And sure enough, pops up in the air.
And you know what? I'm actually not sure that would be a legal play under AUDL rules. It's clearly been called a goal on the field, but I believe that when the clock hits 0, as soon as somebody touches the disc, that ends the play. I'm fairly sure
that's
that the
rule.
clock
It's a
was
terrible
0.
rule.
But
so it's tipped in the air, and then the play's dead. No.
Regardless, it is going to be a New York score. We'll have to check that one out, grab the rule book, and take a look. But
all right.
Either way, it's a huge break for New York as they tie it up as we head into the final.
Let's take a look. We'll see if we get a replay on that, Scott. If you want to able to fire up the tip on this, I want to see Bryant track that down. So it looks like an easy defense. It is. And it just sails a little bit. We know it's going to sail a little bit downwind. And what a break for New York. What a dogfight.
Well, it was just a Herculean effort from Izzy Bryant, who could go to the end zone. 3 rush defenders in the backfield. It's tipped, and it's caught!
Great job there by Izzy Bryant. All right, guys, stay tuned for what's going to be a pretty slamming fourth quarter.
Stall count release. Loose. Oh my goodness. Thompson McKnight behind his back. This is it. The Rush score, they win. Scuba caught. Toronto has prevailed on the road to knock off the DC Breeze.
Hey guys, we're back up here. Thanks for watching. Charlie, you're up too. So after an electrifying end of the third quarter here, we're tied going into the fourth. Toronto to receive. They would have been up 1, and now they're just on serve here. Ooh, this could go far.
Andrew Carroll runs it down far sideline. As Toronto starts on offense here in the fourth quarter.
Carroll, one of the world games players, and one of the fastest guys out here.
Sent, and it's into the end zone. So Connor Armstrong gets the goal.
Rush goal scored by number 80.
And Toronto quickly scores to begin the fourth.
Rush 16, Empire.
They hang on to that 1 point lead.
So hopefully we'll get some clarification on that tip rule. But again, what a fantastic play. We got a great quarter coming up. It's been quite the ball game here. You know, I don't like when people say ball game when it's a disc. I gotta say, pet peeve, and yet I just said it.
Flat ball game.
Great flat ball game here. So, Charlie, you know, we don't get too much of a chance to banter because it's such a great game. So I think the fans will benefit from us not having to talk about just random stuff as much as I might normally.
I've definitely called some Empire games where that was not the case. Today we've got a great one as Garvey takes the centering pass, double team quickly, and again, they're doing a nice job of breaking that double team for the most part, but Toronto's had some success getting some turnovers.
Ooh, he's wide open. He's going to hit him.
Absolutely muscles this hammer, and it's caught! Matt Auletta tracks it down, and another incredible throw from Harper Garvey. Get your popcorn, folks. We got a good one.
He's like, sure, yeah, I'll rip that over there. Why not?
Auletta's running down the field, calling for the disc because he had nobody on him, and Garvey thought about it for a second.
Yeah, I mean that's a backhand, but you know,
I'll just throw the hammer.
I got the hammer there. I'll double helix that a little bit.
He threw it so hard that Auletta almost didn't catch up to it. I don't think he expected it to get that
right.
far.
You know, that was a hammer fastball. Like 60-yard hammer fastball. Knox College is loving it.
He did this at D3 Nationals last year and carried his team deep into the bracket. It was impressive stuff, and here he's doing it again in the pros.
I don't know what St. Paul is thinking right now, but Harper Garvey in New York and Ben Yacht is going to be next. Imagine those two connecting. That'll be fun.
Toronto been very consistent in the second half, not giving New York many opportunities to get breaks. And they still hold the advantage here as Carroll comes underneath. Carroll shooting to the end zone. And his throw is going to be too far
He
for
had
Armstrong.
him. Yeah, he had him.
Yeah, Armstrong wide open down there, but
yeah, it looked like he armed it a little too much. Did Carroll. And not enough wrist. Let's see if New York can capitalize, but they punted.
And heavy contact, no whistle there. I'm really surprised that's not called a foul because he got hit pretty hard there. But Harris gets up, and Toronto sends it around the horn and into the end zone for Armitage.
Well, that was a quick turnover as New York just punted to the other side of the field or just tried to jack. I don't know what was happening there. And this is, again, where I want to see that handler movement, you know? It's like, get it out of there first. Instead, they were in a spread and, you know, it's into the middle of the field. Toronto, again, holding on to that 1 point lead, as you said.
A lot of time left in the game. Plenty of time for both teams to still kind of assert themselves and take control of the game. It's been back and forth so far here.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen, Charlie. I don't look. Both teams are effective enough right now. Jarrett Marin again out there for the pull for the Rush. But of
course, the pressure at this point all on the Empire. They've never beaten the Rush, and they need a break to win the game.
They do have the home field crowd here, which is psyched to see some of these plays.
Garvey
At Norton deep.
working with Kocher.
This is working great now.
Brooks to Norton, and Norton can't handle it. Kind of a low throw there from Brooks, and Norton got both hands on it, but couldn't squeeze the disc, and so now Toronto will have it in midfield.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they wanted to get, New York. Harper with the discs just so spread the field now. Now, all of a sudden, all the throws are open because all the players are open because they're respecting deep. And they had, every throw had 15 yards and just an unfortunate drop there by
Kuzmowicz takes an injury here, and
it's like Ryan Drost.
Ryan Drost will come into the game for New York.
One of the, of course, one of the elite players in the ADL, Drost. One of the league leaders in blocks last year, and I believe one of the top 7 All-Stars.
Here's Ellis.
And man down.
A pick called. It's going to be a 10-yard penalty against the Rush. Lindquist will keep possession here. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's going to go back to Ellis. So some communication between the refs and the players there. Ellis gets it. Nearly blocked. As the disc gets reset to Lindquist.
Ooh, what a show-me fake. Lindquist shows the disc to Aletta and then flips it over the other side.
McKenzie. Critical possession here and a turnover. Just a poor throw from Hune. And New York gets it back.
I was going to say, these young players for Toronto have been fantastic. Armstrong and McKenzie. But
Kocher.
mistake there from Hune.
Looking at Garvey D. Garvey's got it. So the whole game he sits in the backfield, and then he sneaks free into the deep space and pulls down the score as New York ties it up at 17.
A great find by Kocher there. Really, we can't ask for much more than that there. And that's what to do, right? Yeah, stay backfield, and then you're sneaking out. It's up to these teams to find a break there. So unfortunate turn there for Toronto as they had some momentum going into that upwind look there as the wind is continuing to die down. And instead, Kocher rips it deep to Harper Garvey. Well, I don't know what kind of encore is going to be in for tomorrow. It's
big pull here from Ryan Holmes. Starting to get a little more distance as the wind has calmed a bit here later in the second half. And a massive layout D from Jeff Babbitt. New York with a chance to take the lead.
It's got to be right.
And it's dropped. Rousselier can't handle the pass. And the enormous layout block from Babbitt is all for naught as Toronto now looking to go put in another score. Yearwood to the end zone for Harris. Easy. And see the New York D-line all looking around at each other.
Yeah, the air is out of the balloon on that one, Charlie. Big, exciting block there, and they swing it to the other side on an easy swing, and can't hold on, and just the deflation there takes a lot out of it.
And Yee, a rookie on this Empire team, I don't think he's been in the game too much yet, and as he gets the touch there, maybe the nerves got the better of him as he drops it.
Yeah,
and really in a critical spot after the fabulous block by Babbitt.
Yep. Yep, blood's running. The crowd's excited. Everyone knows, oh, this is their score to get the break, to get the lead. And a little bobble there, maybe thinking what the next throw might be. Gets in your head a little bit. It's not easy. Babbitt, though, flying through the air to get the piece of that disc was quite remarkable. And here's a nice pull. So back on serve again, and Kocher and Garvey again uniting to see if they can get back on the board.
Disc swings near side to Aletta. Now Garvey.
These deep throws have gotten them the space they need, that's for sure.
Klein
a
under
lot to
pressure
work
from
with.
Edwards. Now Klein floats one into space, but it's too far for Wodach.
Interesting look there for Connor Klein. That's a hammer if you're going to put that. You try to IO forehand, you need a lot of touch on that and some float. And he didn't get it on that throw. Oof, now he's giving up a lot of yardage.
Disc swings to Howe, up ahead to Powell.
They got room everywhere here, does Toronto, as they look comfortable in this position right now. Nice defense by Kocher, though.
McKenzie to Powell. All kinds of space underneath for Toronto.
Oh, Harper's on Garvey's on an island out there. Oh, the New York defense looks tired right now.
Not quite into the end zone for Zlatic. He throws a little blade out into space for McKenzie.
Connor
Lots
Klein
of room
is
and
tired.
Tired legs for New York. Howe.
Ooh.
And a drop on the sideline.
Oh, they also, I think they're.
But I heard a whistle.
Yeah, I heard a whistle too. Might have been a stall. Boy, everyone's tired.
And what was the call here? Looking for a signal from the referees.
It was strange, right? The whistle was right before that.
The whistle happened while the disc was in the air, it seemed.
I thought it was like a stall to me. It seemed like it hit the disc for like around 7 seconds, although I would have said it was a fast stall.
They've marked the spot where the disc was, and the referees are now converging to talk about.
Let's read some lips. Okay. It's pointing in that direction. Uh-huh. And I'll have that. It's James Kalinske on the right. I don't know.
And there's now some discussion between the Rush and the referees.
Yeah.
You see Sachin Raina.
Yeah, there's
talking
Sachin.
to the referees.
He's trying to find out what the call may be here. I think they're going to hold the disc. I don't see their lines changing, right?
And I imagine that this conversation right now has to do with whether or not there's a continuation. Because I'm not, of course, we don't know what the whistle was for. There was no signal about what the whistle was for. But the whistle seemed to take place while the throw was in the air, and then the disc was subsequently dropped. So the question is, was the whistle for something that happened prior to that would have affected the play, or maybe trying to just interpret what the rules are? And
a timeout to Toronto.
Not sure what.
It might have been a timeout call, actually. It might be the.
But if there was the timeout call would have had to have taken place before the throw was in the air, I would think.
Yeah, and that's why they might be bringing it back to
and
that
I wonder
spot.
if there was a timeout call from the sideline, and they're trying to decide whether to give the call.
Guys, we're going to take a spot poll here now. What do you think the call was? Text or tweet to 555-5555. Oh, most people think it's a timeout by Toronto. It's three votes to one.
That may be what it
right
was. And they are now signaling timeout.
And Lindquist coming in with the disc. So
there must have been a timeout call prior to the pass that was dropped. And so it will be Toronto's disc here about 5 yards outside the end zone.
That's Coach Gibbons there, Tom Gibbons, with the camo and the black baseball cap, talking to his guys. So he's got Mike Dross, Ryan Dross, Chris Kocher, Izzy Bryant, John Wodach, Jeff Babbitt, Matt Aletta out there. That's his lineup right there. And hey, Matt, if you want to pan over to the Toronto guys, let's take a look at who they got out here. It's a pretty crucial point.
To the right, other side.
Yeah, let's see who Toronto's got out there. Cam Harris, Thompson McKnight. We haven't called McKnight's name a lot, but he's out there all the time for these guys. Also another veteran. Jeff Lindquist. Connor Armstrong again in another big situation here. Adrian Yearwood and Andrew Carroll. I missed somebody in there, but that's the lineups we see, and we're expecting Toronto to pick this disc up. We got 6 minutes left in this game, and Toronto up a goal. This is a big point right here. This is a big, big point. Toronto gets it. They got a good look at this game here to close it out. They got a window to the end. Wodach on the mark.
6 minutes to go here in the game. Toronto looking for a back-breaking break, and they're going to get it as Andrew Carroll goes strike into the end zone, catches the disc on the throw from McKnight, and Toronto takes a 2-point lead. It's a long road back here for the Empire.
Charlie, do you see this often? Forcing line like that? Like, short field, you got 10 yards to the sideline, so it's not even like a trap. And you're going to force that. Like, do you see that college? Are teams doing that? Am I missing something like that? I would never do that when I was playing.
Well, I think they were probably looking to force backhand as a change of pace. That would be my guess. I think, with the width of the field here in the AUDL, it almost doesn't matter sometimes what the force is. And really why they got burned there was that they let a wide open strike cut happen.
Right. Well, it was a button hook cause a strike when he came into the now. Yeah.
So, Toronto with a 2-point lead. Empire fans quiet here in the stadium as they know their team has work to do. Here's Garvey.
You can hear the calls calling out from the sidelines now as push pass. They work 3 for 3 so far.
Wodach. Now Brooks. Hits hanging, and nice defense from the rush as it's knocked away by Jonathan Martin.
Yeah, Auletta tried to get up there and hang and just couldn't quite hang long enough.
Auletta had some steps, but the throw hung up there. And so now the Rush have a chance to probably put this game away.
Yeah, downwinder here to seal it. We're up 19-17.
It's Ellis. Back to Ellis.
Should be deep by
Backhand
Drost.
up the sideline, and it's over everybody's head. So New York will get it back.
Yeah, I don't want to throw to Ryan Drost over there on that sideline as he had a good beat. Sorry, that was Pippen again. That was Auletta. Nice shot by Auletta.
Garvey. Big forehand. And a layout there from Wodach. And he's not able to catch up.
I don't think he expected it, Charlie. I think if he had been running on a full tank from the get-go and known that Harper was going to throw that, he would have gotten there. Couple of big turns, too many chances for Toronto, but they're going to put it.
Big backhand. McKenzie all alone to the back line, and he's got it. McKenzie hauls in the break. Toronto's up by 3, and there's under 5 minutes to go here in the game.
Wow, big kick spike there from Mike McKenzie as he gets the goal from Jarrett Marin, who rips it deep. And Toronto is putting this game away. What a second half from Toronto. They really righted the ship there. Even after that amazing play from Brian at the end of the third quarter, it's really been Toronto in this whole half here. They started off with those two quick breaks. They had all the energy. They had all the momentum. And, even after that play from Brian, they hadn't slowed them down. So all credit to Toronto really coming out with a lot of fire in this half.
New York Empire defense just hasn't been able to really sustain much pressure against Toronto.
Well, I mean, you get the block, and you gotta try to punch that in, and then, this offense here just had 2 opportunities, and that's one too many.
Kocher fields the pull. Now Garvey. Kocher.
I almost need quick scores, too.
Toronto sagging the lanes, trying to stop the Huck. Really.
Babbitt's just wide open. No one's even guarding him in the center. Now a streaker. Kocher to Mike.
Drost. To Garvey. He lofts a backhand, and it's taken away by Toronto.
Yeah, only a matter of time until that happened.
Jeff Powell able to get there. Sends it ahead to Marin, and there's an injury call on the field. Looks like Kuzmowicz again going to have to head to the sideline. And Marin also going to take one here for Toronto.
You know, so in talking to Coach Hasty before the game, or sorry, in a written email, he said, you know, as always, we will play 1 point at a time and look to be a better team by the end of each game than when we started.
And I got to say, Tony, I think they've done that.
Yeah.
Their offense has looked better and better over the course of the game, and their defense has made the right adjustments to take New York out of what they were trying to do.
Yeah, I agree. And this is interesting. Have you heard this before? The pressure is always on the home team at the opener, is what he said.
Toronto almost always starts their season on the road. McKenzie to Powell.
I don't know if Powell has that rip, but he faked it.
Zlatic has had a nice game for the Rush. Tatulea. Just good hard cutting from Toronto. They just keep churning underneath. Here's Martin. Goes break side with the hammer. Drops it in. And it's another score for Toronto. Zlatic with the goal. 21-17 with only 3 minutes to go. At this point, it's going to take a New York miracle.
You can hear the sidelines on that one, Charlie. Did you hear it? Before we even release it, they're like, hammer, hammer, watch out for the hammer. And it's too late then. Once it's clear to everyone on the field that shot's open, it's too late. No matter what you say. There's Babbitt walking off the field. Not much more he can do now. He got his block. But, I got to say, we haven't called his name too much, He makes that big play there. He gets a couple scores.
You can't ask for a better spot to get a block than that, though.
And
it's emblematic of the New York Empire. They get the huge block, and then they immediately make a mistake that gives it back. And it's been like that, especially against Toronto, for 3 or 4 straight seasons now. It's got to hurt because they're a good team.
Yeah.
Clearly they have a lot to build on. They're going to come away from this game, win or lose, feeling like, hey, we were in that game, we could have won that game, and we know that we can challenge this team. And I think that's true, but at the same time, clearly they're going to need to find that clutch gene and develop it because they have not had that over the last few years.
Well, there's just moments in the I hear all you're saying there, but that's putting a lot of pressure onto 1 point, basically, right?
Well, it's fair, but it's the weight of time and the kinds of mistakes that happen in these big spots. There was a game last year. New York was playing Washington, D.C., and it was a tight game, and they had the disc with a chance to basically put the game away.
Yeah.
And Ryan Drost threw a hammer that was very ill-advised. It was a turnover. DC went on to win the game, and it's just a deeply frustrating decision in that moment.
Right.
And again, it's not that specific hammer or the drop here in this game was the one that put it away.
Right.
But it's every time they've been in those spots, they don't come up with the play, and that's what's got to be frustrating if you're an Empire fan.
And the numbers are backing it up, like we talked about. They are 0-12 or 0-13 versus Toronto. They're 0-3 against them last year, of course. Last year, 0-3 in overtime, and they're 0-5 in games decided in overtime or by 1 point last year.
They're a good team, and they've got to start finding a way to win these games against the top competition if they want to make it to the championship weekend. Here's Kocher. Sideline for Wodach.
And Toronto, on the other side, they just know how to win.
Stahl getting high there, and nice defense from Toronto as Martin breaks up the pass.
And know how to win is a cliche. Knowing how to win means you've been playing together a long time, and you're confident, and you're comfortable, and you've done it before. And you're going to do it again.
And a turnover from Toronto as they end up out of bounds. It's a tough mistake, but with the clock on their side, things looking good for the Rush. Auletta now comes up to Kocher. Auletta streaking deep. Not there. Kocher looks it off. Garvey to Kocher. Back to Garvey. goes with the big swing to Wodach.
Well, they need to score a little quicker if they're going to score. They're running out of time.
And a turnover on the throw up the sideline from Wodach. And that's going to about do it here. The 4-point lead for Toronto. They can run the clock out on this one.
What a performance from Toronto. They just kept grinding away. Basically did all that they said they were going to do.
Looking to the end zone. And
He
it's
might have
caught.
been in.
Is he inbounds?
It's a goal.
Yes, he is. What a grab at the back of the end zone.
Greg Ellis.
And that will do it here as Toronto takes a 5-point lead. The Empire try to put on a couple more scores. Point diff, you never know, could matter at the end of the season if you're in a tiebreaker situation.
Really quick, I want to give a shout out to our staff here: Matt Gray, Scott Helm, working the tech system and our replay and the camera. And we got a couple cameramen out in the field, Andrew Poland and Josh Braunreither. Thanks for coming out and doing this. Charlie and I from the booth, of course. And thanks for everyone for tuning in. Charlie, what do we see for? Give us your thoughts for for tomorrow when DC faces these guys. Faces
Well,
Toronto.
I think DC, another tough battle for the Rush, and coming off of a hard-fought game, I think DC will certainly have the advantage. The question is, do they have enough firepower to beat this Toronto team? I think we've seen Toronto really use their entire roster, so they haven't been relying too much on a couple of their top guys, and I think I'd probably take Toronto to win that game.
Yeah, I could see that. They look pretty good here for sure. And what's next for you? You're just down at College Easterns, and what's the next big, when you're doing your AUDL games?
Well, we got a game next weekend, part of the AUDL bonus coverage.
Right. What game is that?
Presented by Ultiworld, and that will be the Raleigh Flyers taking on the Jacksonville Cannons in Jacksonville, rivalry game.
That'll be good.
So join us on next Saturday for that.
So you're flying down to Jacksonville, taking the team?
That's right, Tony.
Get some signed Dark Horse discs, maybe?
Go see if Brody's in the house, see if Brody gets on the field.
Yeah.
And
nice
a point block there from New York. Matt Aletta gets it, and 20 seconds on the clock here.
Great game from Pippen today.
Kofer picks up for New York. They look to put a final one on the board, but Kofer's forehand catches turf. And a whistle.
Yep, I got the body on that block.
And perhaps a foul downfield. It's going to be.
So Charlie's going to start railing on the refs again.
I really think they had a pretty rough game, Tony.
Okay.
I can't lie.
Fair enough, fair enough. I'm not one to judge. I'm trying to make it interesting content.
The refereeing experience in the AUDL is very inconsistent.
It's not easy being a referee, I can say that. Although, I have done it once, actually. In North Carolina, nonetheless.
Interesting.
The first iteration of Callahan rules.
10, 9,
days.
8, 7, 6,
Caught.
5, 4.
Jackie Howe will just hold it and let the clock expire. And that will do it. The Toronto Rush defeat the New York Empire 22-17 here in week 2. New York's home opener spoiled by the Rush. Toronto moves to 1-0 on the season, and New York to 0-1. And a strong second half performance from Toronto sets up the win.
Yeah, Toronto really, what do you want to say, grinded out. I mean, they just had a better team, just more consistent team. They survived Harper's shots, which were fantastic, by the way. I mean, even with this win, who else are you going to say is player of the game but Harper Garvey? Losing effort, I don't know. Everyone from Toronto contributed across the board. And they just knew how to find the spot, and really coming out and setting the tone in that second half with those 2 breaks off the bat really, I think, put him in great position.
Yeah, Toronto switching up the defense, starting to sag into the lane to take away the huck. New York unable to really get a lot of motion going downfield later in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter, and that yielded a big break run from Toronto that put the game away.
And they couldn't get blocks on Toronto, too. Once Toronto was able to get in their groove and move it, and that was the ball game. Hey, and I said it again. There was the flat ball game. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for everybody coming out. We do have a great folks out here, and we'll catch you on the next one. And thanks, Charlie, to you for coming out, doing a game.
Thanks for having me, Tony. 22-17, your final score. Toronto Rush over the New York Empire. See you next time.